Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another video from beautiful, sunny San Cristóbal de las Casas here in Chiapas, Mexico. We've established this is definitely an affordable retirement option, but today we're going to dig a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about some pros, cons, who this place might be right for, wrong for. We're also going to talk about the logistics and legality and price of purchasing land here, which I'm actually thinking about doing, so I'm going to break that all down for you in today's video. And while doing so, I'm going to take you to all sorts of different fun points of interest here in San Cristóbal. All right, guys, let's talk all things retirement. Vámonos. So we're starting things off right, guys, at this beautiful temple of Our Lady of Guadalupe right here. And this is where I come to get my cardio in the morning, get my steps, but I want to dig right into some of the pros and cons as I am a little bit winded. I'm going to talk about who this place might not work for right off the bat to save a few of you some of your precious time. If you appreciate my efforts, smash the like button for me, subscribe if you haven't already. Now, first thing I want to talk about is the altitude. We are at 7,200 feet. We are up in the highlands of Chiapas. And while yes, this is a beautiful place, the altitude can cause some problems for certain types of people, so do beware of that. If you have something like polycythemia or something like that, it could be problematic, so talk to your doctor about that before you relocate from sea level to way up in the mountains. Make sure it's a good fit for you. Secondly, guys, not a ton of English is spoken here, a little bit in the touristy areas. Bone up on your Spanish for sure if you want to move here. If not, you may have trouble adapting and feeling at home. I've met a few expats who have basic Spanish and they're fine, but they admittedly wish they spoke better Spanish. So with that out of the way, let's dig into some of the pros here. So the pros are that this place is still real Mexico. You can find affordable, high quality food. People are still friendly, and there's one thing that's very big to me is that nobody has offered me contraband or tried to sell me things that I don't want, and you do get a lot of that in Puerto Vallarta, Playa del Carmen, coastal tourist places like Tulum, Cancun. So not once, and I've been here for a couple weeks now, not once has anyone tried to sell me or offer me anything. People have also not been aggressive in their sales pitches. They may offer you to come into the restaurants, but I love that about this place. It is a tranquil vibe. Now, secondly, we have these viewpoints, and I'm going to take you to several of them in this video. Now, there's not everybody's going to be able to get up here, but even little old ladies and elderly folks are able to, little by little, usually make their way all the way up here to the church. The church bells ring at 7 a.m. and it is a part of the normal routine. So we are going to go up to the highest viewpoint over there a little bit later in the video. So guys, cost of living, definitely a pro. I'll get into a couple more cons toward the end of the video though as well. Things that might give me pause regarding to living here full time, but there's a lot to like here. So let's keep going, guys. And let me know in the comments any questions, whether it's about healthcare, it's about dental, cost of living, anything at all. Just let me know in the comments below and I'd be happy to cover it in an upcoming video. The goal here is to start a conversation amongst ourselves in the comments below and answer as many questions as we can and demystify this beautiful retirement option here in Mexico. Guys, one more major pro as we make our way down this beautiful set of stairs back into the colonial gem that is San Cristóbal is that we have this colonial charm and architecture like you might find in places like San Miguel de Allende, but San Miguel de Allende has become very, very inaccessible to most budgets. It's become very expensive. Now this is almost like a San Miguel de Allende 20 years ago is kind of how this feels. So the charm, the accessibility, and also one thing I want to talk about is the walkability here in San Cristóbal. As we see a slightly older, very fit gentleman making his way up the stairs, the walkability here is fantastic, and that's a make or break deal for me. If it's not a walkable place, I won't live there. But this one is walkable, and I'll show you that rather than tell you that throughout the video. We're going to be on foot the entire day. I'm not going to take any public transport or taxis today. It's all going to be done with the Chevrolet legs in pure rope monster fashion, guys. Let's go. One major benefit to this place as well, you may notice I'm wearing a hoodie here at 8:30 in the morning, is the climate. It's really never too hot or too cold here. Most places don't have air conditioners. Some places have fireplaces, which can be handy in the winter time, but the climate is a better fit for a lot of folks who are sensitive to the heat. My buddy Dave, I'm talking to you, he's looking for a cooler climate after living in Puerto Vallarta for a long time. Some of us get more sensitive to the heat as we get older, or we just need a change where we're more comfortable, we can wear more clothes, break out some of our fancier wardrobe, our sweaters. Sweater weather can be a lot of fun. And also, guys, we're going to talk about the food, because soup weather is also a lot of fun when you're in the land of high quality caldos, broths, soups, etc. So we'll get into food a little bit later, but I just wanted to mention the climate right off the bat. It is very comfortable. And guys, for those of you who are new to the channel, I live in Playa del Carmen most of the year, and this time of year it is just so hot. You can't leave your house without sweating, and it's quite uncomfortable and even unrealistic for a lot of folks. So guys, I want to get into one more con as we walk down these beautiful, colorful, colonial streets, is that we are down kind of in a valley here and surrounded by mountains. And a lot of these vehicles run rich. We have a lot of motorcycles here. So you do have traffic noise, but also one thing you're not going to see in Google Maps or in videos or things like that is you're not going to smell the exhaust. There is quite a strong smoke exhaust smell here if you're right in the heart of the center, but we'll get back into that a little bit later, and I'll show you exactly why I'm looking at land, where I'm looking at land, because you can completely avoid that problem if you don't live right in the center. One side note though, guys, on the smoke and the smog, is really, it's not much of an issue except on the days with low cloud cover. Days like today. Hola vecino, ¿cómo está? Buen día. Buen día. Days like today, when it's clear, you don't notice it quite so much, but it can be intense, especially on days when the cloud cover is very low. But guys, another thing, a pro, as I just said hello to my neighbor there, people still say buenos dias, buenas tardes, all of that here. This is, you're going to get the old feeling of Mexico that you sometimes will not get anymore in the more touristy areas. So I do like that. It reminds me, even though we're not near the coast, it reminds me of Puerto Vallarta 10 years ago. And that place has changed a lot. Still a gorgeous place, but the affordability and the tensions have changed a little bit for sure in the last 5 or 6 years especially. So I do love the kindness of the people here. Very warm and welcoming, but I'm not sure if you could see that in the distance there as a diesel dump truck just went by blowing a black cloud of smoke out. I just want you to truly know what to expect here. This is not some perfect utopia. There are pros and cons. I'm not here to sell you on this place. I'm just trying to help you make an informed decision. Those of you especially trying to retire on Social Security or a lower budget. Now we will talk about visa situations, because yes, you can live on probably $1,200 to $1,500 a month here, but getting your residence, if you can only show that amount of income, is problematic. So we'll talk a little bit more about residency options here in just a moment, because some people miss the point. They think it's all based on your monthly income, but there are workarounds. All right, my friends, we have now made it to the beautiful pedestrian street, Real de Guadalupe, and as promised, we're going to talk about visas and temporary residency requirements. This is where a lot of people get confused and lose hope, but I'm here to clear a few things up for you. So the monthly income requirements for temporary residency are now up to $4,400 a month US, which is absurd. That's like the kind of money that CFOs make in Mexico. That's about twice what a lot of lawyers make. And so it's a high number, and a lot of people just give up hope right there. But there are some workarounds. The savings and investment requirements are about 74,000 US dollars, and you just have to show that balance and that you've had that amount for the last 12 months, between about 78,000 US. And the process is pretty simple, actually. You just go to the Mexican consulate outside of Mexico. That can be in the US or Canada. You attend an interview and present the financial documents showing that financial solvency, in this case the savings or investments, and you receive a residency visa sticker in your passport. And then once you enter Mexico, within the validity period, you exchange that visa for a temporary resident card at the INM within 30 days of arrival. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. There are other ways to do it, and property ownership is one, but I'm going to explain why that's not a realistic option here in Chiapas. Guys, before we dig into the nuts and bolts of property ownership here in Chiapas, let's talk about safety. That's always top of mind. And back in 2024, Chiapas was actually going through a pretty tough period with some fairly substantial issues regarding safety and security. They have brought in a special force of police and military, paramilitary, to clean up that situation. And I'm here to say that all of my experiences here throughout San Cristóbal, Chiapa de Corzo, Sumidero Canyon, all the excursions, the hikes that I've done, I have felt incredibly safe, and also the city is incredibly clean. So you'll see that the locals and business owners bleach and wash their sidewalks in front of their businesses, which is something you don't see in other parts of Mexico. And with street dogs and things like that, you really do need to do that to keep the smell of the city enjoyable, and they've done a fantastic job of that here. So safety and cleanliness is actually going to get a solid pass at this time. Now people are within that mindset still, that 2024 mindset where things were very dangerous here, not necessarily right in town, but in the outskirts of town. But things are improving, but it goes without saying that you should use common sense. If you're going to do some tour way off into the middle of nowhere, into the mountains, go with a group, go with a local guide. If you're going to go to Chemula, please, for the love of God, go with a local guide and understand the local laws and philosophies and things like that before you just wander into one of these small villages. The locals are not always going to welcome you with open arms. So go with a local guide, use common sense, but apart from those things, this place is incredibly safe, incredibly clean, and we have this broad, gorgeous diversity. Indigenous people, we have the Tzaltal and the Tzotzil people here, and I do my best to not film their faces. I try to be respectful. They do not like to be filmed, but they are incredibly warm, kind people. For the most part, just make sure you understand the customs before you go into the smaller villages in this area. Guys, any further questions you have about safety or security, just let me know in the comments below. I'm gonna go leave this little lady a little bit of love here, and I'll be right back with you. Got to take care of the locals. So my friends, we have made our way right into the heart as we walk by the cathedral here and we enter Plaza de la Paz. As promised, we're going to discuss all things real estate and how real estate pertains or can pertain to your residency process here, and why that route might not work for you in Chiapas, but it could elsewhere in Mexico. So let's go find a coffee and sit down in one of the oldest cafes here in town, right in the center in the Plaza de la Paz. And yes, you can absolutely feel the peace here. We actually we're in the World Cup right now, and there's a giant viewing area right here in the center with a huge screen for those who want to watch in public with friends and may not want to go to a bar, or those who maybe don't have TVs at home. There's this viewing area here, so I really love the sense of community here. But let's head inside this cafe and talk real estate. El 18 de Mayo, the 18th of May, 1828. Such a rich history. All right, guys, let's head inside. Let's see if I fit under the door. Oop, just barely. So guys, I'm just about to sit down for my coffee and enjoy the peace here, but I was just speaking with one of the locals and he was saying that this whole plaza was built about 500 years ago. And you can really feel the rich history here. It's just a wonderland of nature, flora and fauna as well. If you look at the plant life, you see we have palm trees even though we're way up here in the mountains. It's a very, very unique place for architecture, history lovers, nature lovers. But more on that in upcoming videos. I'm going to be doing more hiking, more adventures, maybe even some climbing. Muy amable, gracias. Wow, qué rico se ve.
Dicen que el kiosco es a finales del siglo XIX.
Ah, sí. Okay, gracias. So the young man was just confirming that the actual kiosco, Morisco, was built right at the end of the 19th century. Good timing by the young gentleman right there. But I believe the plaza was built in the 1500s, or at least the original version of it. So anyway, I've got this gorgeous whole milk cappuccino. I'm sitting here enjoying the architecture behind me, the bird sounds. What a place to discuss real estate here. So we'll get right into it, guys. Foreigners can legally buy real estate here without using a trust. You can actually have your name on the legal deed because we are not within the restricted zone. If you buy real estate near the coast or near international borders in Mexico, you're in what's known as the restricted zone, and you have to buy property through a trust, and you have to pay quite a bit annually to these trusts to maintain the ownership through the trust, essentially. San Cristóbal, sorry, put the accent in the wrong, put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable there. San Cristóbal is unique in the sense that we're just far enough away from the coast to be able to purchase land and property outright. But let me explain to you why that might not be the right route to getting your residency here in Mexico. So the issue is this, guys. Real estate is still very, very affordable in Chiapas. That's a good thing, right? Well, not exactly if you're looking to get your residency through ownership. Now, you actually need to have a total property. I believe it's about 575 to 600,000, give or take a little bit depending on the exchange rate, US real estate value. You need to own that property before you apply for residency. And yes, you can buy property here without being a resident, but then you have to begin the process from there. So you would have to essentially find a property that's worth 600,000. That's not easy to do in Chiapas. You would have to purchase it, and then you would be purchasing it with no actual guarantee of getting the residency. So I highly suggest, and I'm not an expert on this, this is just my humble opinion, that you go the route of investment/savings and apply in the consulate in your country. Guys, there's one more little fine detail. I think I kind of misspoke. If you do purchase land, your name has to be on the actual deed for you to use that land to get residency. So I think purchasing land, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but purchasing land or property in, say, Puerto Vallarta, you would be owning it through a trust, and therefore it would not qualify you for residency. So I just needed to clear that up before you guys rip me apart in the comments. But there's a lot of fine little details. You will want to work with a lawyer, a professional, if you do decide to go the real estate route. Cover your bases, do your own due diligence. All right, guys, fantastic cappuccino, but one con about this place, and I won't even call it that, it's just part of life here, is that it's not built for people over 6 feet tall all the time. Let me try to get in this bathroom here. Wow. All right, guys, fantastic coffee there. And now some of you may be wondering, why is this 38-year-old guy talking about retirement? So for those of you who are new to the channel, I'm just gonna mention a little bit about my background. I did retire a little over 3 years ago. I built my own investment portfolio and retired on that. Not filthy rich, not wealthy, but with enough to live quite well. And so mostly focused on dividend investing and value investing. And that is what has led me here. But now a passion of mine has become finding the best place in which to retire, or the best places, plural. So I'm a big fan of slow travel. I've spent a lot of time in Cuenca, Ecuador. I've spent a lot of time in Playa del Carmen, which is now my home base, but there's no doubt that it's actually gotten quite expensive there. So I'm always on the hunt for different options, and I do think San Cristóbal checks a lot of the boxes. So there we have it right there. That's my background. No, I'm not a trust fund baby. I worked for what I have. I built my own portfolio. I'm not retired on a pension. A company did not hand me this. I built it myself, brick by brick. All right, guys, let's go get to the next viewpoint. I got to keep getting my cardio in today. I wanted to emphasize one more time the walkability. For a lot of my subscribers and friends, we are all mid-30s up to mid-80s, and having a place that's flat and walkable, yes, not the entirety of San Cristóbal is flat, but we have these beautiful parts in the center where you will see the older folks, the seniors, walking, enjoying time with their parents. And so there's a sense of community and walkability here, and a slower pace to life as well. You could sit at that plaza easily for an hour enjoying coffee and bird sounds, maybe playing chess with a friend. And you can just take these leisurely strolls and take in all the views and history and architecture along the way. Guys, one thing briefly, as we enter this colorful and musical part of town here, I noticed in my last shot while I was talking about retirement and what led me here, that one of the police officers kind of leaned into the shot. And I wanted to mention that the authorities here have been incredibly helpful, kind, and let's just say they do not abuse their power here in San Cristóbal de las Casas. I can't say the same for other parts of Mexico, unfortunately, but here I have found that the local PD will take photos for you, will give you directions, and they are truly at your service to protect and serve. That's been my experience, at least. So I just wanted to cover that briefly for those of you wondering about corruption issues or anything like that. All right, my friends, so the next stop on the tour is all the way up there. So time to get more cardio. As always, guys, I'm putting in a solid 15 to 20,000 steps for this video. It's my pleasure, but all I ask for in return is that you smash that like button for me. Consider subscribing if you like this style of video. And here we go, guys. Now at the top of this hill will be around 7,500 feet, I believe. Muy amable, gracias. And from the top of this hill, more importantly, guys, I should be able to point out where exactly the property is that I'm looking at, and I will share with you the details on how much that lot is going for. And so we'll get hopefully a bird's eye view and maybe even get to fly Dronaldo, but I have to ask the guards up there. They do have security, and I have to get their approval, of course, or else I could be in trouble, little Dronaldo could be in trouble, and we do not want that. Whew, okay. This one's gonna be intense. It did take me a few days, guys. I live at sea level, so it did take me a few days to kind of acclimate. And yes, the Vocho, the Volkswagen culture is strong here. All right, guys, let's go all the way up. Here we go. All right, guys, I think for the fun of this, I may count the total steps There's a mirador in Puerto Vallarta that I used to do all the time. It was, I think, about 200 steps. This one could be just about the same. We'll find out. So guys, I'm already 49 steps into this and we already have this beautiful view. And also I'm noticing some things along the way. This place here offers Spanish classes, coffee to go, chocolate. So if you want to take your time with this one, you can. There's little stops along the way where you can sit and enjoy a terrace, have a coffee, catch your breath. You guys, I gotta keep going. I got a new little buddy right here. Hola, ¿qué tal?
Buenos días.
Buenos dias. So, great place to bring the pup for a walk, evidently. Still a long ways to go. 49 steps and counting. What a gorgeous day for it, though. One thing I will say, guys, this is a rainier climate. We are in rainy season. So that's another thing to be cognizant of. It's not always going to look like this. You're gonna have rainy days, but I love those rainy days for taking naps and resting and of course editing these videos for you all. All right, my friends, 171 steps into it, and I just had a very nice conversation with Maria here at the little tienda. I didn't have any coins left and she didn't have change for 100, and this was 25 pesos. I gave her 20 and I said, le diudo 5 pesos, and so she completely trusted me. I told her, hey, I'll bring you the other 5 pesos tomorrow, and she had zero problem with that. Very sweet lady, Maria, with the Topo Chico for the win. Guys, do stay hydrated at this altitude, combining the sun, the altitude, and the cardio. Gotta stay hydrated. All right, let's keep on going and see how many total steps this thing is. The view's fantastic. My mood right now is a 10 out of 10. The kindness of the people is something that you can't really figure out until you go to a place, but I'm doing my best to bring that to you all. And that's a huge thing. I call it the friend factor. How easy is it to talk with the locals, make friends? And I have to give San Cristóbal at least a 9 out of 10. The people here are fantastic. The reason I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 is it's a little harder to connect with some of the indigenous people, but if you put in the effort and you are patient and understanding and learn the differences within the cultures, then it's absolutely possible. I had a fantastic conversation with some of the Tzotzil women yesterday, and they're just a little bit more reserved. It's nothing that can't be overcome with a little bit of patience and understanding. But look at this view, guys. I am high on life right now, and I'm also very high in altitude, about 7,400 feet, I think, here to be exact. But let's get a little higher. Why not? All right, my friends, 250 steps on the button to get to this point. But like I said, we got to go all the way up. Let's get up the rest of the way and see if we can see the property I'm looking at purchasing from up there. All right, my friends, 283 steps to be exact. And just behind this gorgeous church, we should be able to look off toward where I'm looking at property. So this is perfect, guys. So right off in this direction, there is Highway 190, if you can call it a highway. I'll call it Route 190. Curves off into the mountains, off through there and up into the mountains and into a beautiful oak and pine forest. And the particular lots that I'm looking at are going for 250,000 Mexican pesos. So with the current exchange rate, let me see, calculating and computing done. So at the 17.3 to 1 exchange rate, that'd be about $14,450 for a gorgeous forest lot. And the lots are big enough to where I could build my dream. Essentially would be a primary cabin and then an A-frame guest cabin for friends and family. So that's the plan, guys, to buy some land off through there Now, don't just come running down here thinking you can just go legally buy land and everything will be hunky-dory. There are some unwritten laws here, and you need to know the right locals. Talk with a legal representative, a local lawyer, someone who specializes in land ownership here. Also, if you're going to own land here and build a nice cabin, you don't want to leave it uninhabited for long periods of time. You'll want someone who can live in it, maybe for free, in return for taking care of the property, keeping a light or two on here and there. Things do happen to properties that are left unattended. That's the way I understand it. I actually visited a friend's cabin out that way, and that's what gave me the idea of buying land out there. And so do your due diligence, like I said earlier in the video, but I think for $14,500 you could do a lot worse in the world. And owning land with your name on the actual legal deed versus through a bank trust is something that has a lot of appeal to it. You could do both. You could have one home base at the coast, and you could have one home base here that you actually own outright. That's just kind of my plan. I may buy a small condo in Puerto Morelos. I've been looking at property in Quintana Roo, and I think there are some values out there right now. I've done videos on that. But I think also owning out here is a fantastic idea. All right, guys, as promised, I'm going to show you a short-term lodging option and probably what will end up being my top hostel of 2026. And I know what you may be thinking, hostel? That sounds kind of like something young people do. Well, this particular hostel has older folks from Africa, from Canada, from the US, and even from other parts of Mexico, guys my age who are engineers thinking about moving down here. So it's a very like-minded community. I'm going to show you exactly where that is and how much it will cost you to stay there for a week or for a month to finish out the video, guys. Thanks again for being here. And for those of you wondering, this is the Templo de San Cristobalito. It would be silly for me to not leave a little bit of history for you all. The original little outpost up here was built, I think, in 1737, and by 1759 this became a small adobe chapel sitting on this exact site, and then it was built into this structure that you see today by the late 1700s by Juan de Ordóñez, Fray Juan de Ordóñez. So late 1700s, give or take, around 1770 to 1800, this was finished. Guys, just a quick peek inside the temple. So my friends, as I make my way back down the stairs, I have a little bit of bonus material here inspired by subscriber and friend Jill Ayers. Thank you, Jill. She was asking about the rents in the previous cost of living video I did here. I didn't get into that. And I have a full deep dive video coming on the rents very soon on apartments, but I wanted to give you guys some numbers just to get you thinking. For those of you who don't want to buy real estate down here, buy property, well, how much to rent an apartment? So a basic apartment here can be as little as 4,000, 5,000 pesos, 200, 250 US dollars a month. And a large house, I was speaking with expat and now friend from the UK who's been here for 5 years, Brendan. He's got a 4-bedroom house with a wood stove, massive, right in the center, and he pays 16,000 Mexican pesos, under 1,000 US dollars, and a lot of locals are telling him that he's actually overpaying. Guys, I always got to leave you with one pro tip, and there's this shaded, this looks like cedar, some type of cedar and some pine, the shaded area with picnic tables, and so I highly recommend that if you're going to make the journey up here, bring a picnic, stay up here, enjoy your breakfast, your lunch. I wish I would have known that this was here. I would have brought breakfast. I have not yet eaten today. And we're getting a show from the parrots. There's these gorgeous, big parrots that keep flying back and forth between the pine trees. And so you could sit here and bird watch. Just another free activity here in San Cristóbal de las Casas that is worth gold. family time, picnic time, bird watching. What a magical place. So guys, you know I always have to put in the extra steps and do the extra investigative work. I'm here at this Spanish school with Doris, and it is Tierras Mayas. So aquí tienen muchas opciones de clases. They've got a 15-hour-a-week class for $150 US. That's 3 hours a day. But also what called out to me is they have this homestay. You can do a 1-week homestay, $160, ¿verdad?
Sí, o en pesos también.
En pesos también. So guys, here you have it on the way up to San Cristobalito with Doris. You've got your Spanish classes right here. We discussed that if you really want to move to San Cris, you really need to work on your Spanish to fit in, to feel at home. This is your spot right here. So come say hi to Doris and maybe try a week, maybe do a homestay. Those of you who are extremely serious about learning even quicker, we have intensive options, super intensive, 5 hours a day. So there's also group classes that are a little more accessible, 127 US per week if you like the group setting. I actually tend to learn better in a group setting, so it just depends on what you're looking for, but this place really has options for everyone. So guys, Tierras Mayas, I'll put up on Google Maps where that is. Doris was also saying she has lodging options, very small little options if you want to stay right here and have the full immersive experience. So guys, I just returned to the cafe. Young Danny here has helped me out by unlocking the door so I can come up top. How cool is this piece of history? Wow, wow. Guys, I'm in one of the best moods I've been in years. San Cristobal has been good for me. My friends, before I forget, as promised, I'm here at what will probably be my top hostel 2026 in all of the world. And I just wanted to give you all some short-term options. So you can actually stay in this hostel for around 2,200 pesos per week. If you pay cash, they'll give you a better price. Definitely mention my channel, The Rope Monster. But we've got this beautiful, quiet, gorgeous hostel, and it's actually not a party hostel. It's more of a laid back. We've got an older group, 34 and up. I shouldn't say older, but we got folks on up into their 40s, 50s, and 60s staying here. This used to be owned by a Japanese person, and you can see they've kept this kind of Zen garden style. We've got rosemary. You can actually stay here month to month as well, and I highly recommend this spot. Jose, Edgar, the entire staff here, Angelina, fantastic people. And that's for a private room, guys. 9,000 pesos a month. At the time of filming this video anyway, you can get a private room for the entire month, 9,000 pesos. And it's a fantastic option because you maintain your flexibility. Kitchen is well maintained. Hola, Mohammed. We've got actually 2 stoves, 2 6-burner stoves here, 2 fridges, so you can always get in there and cook, no problem. There's always really good cafe chapaneco ready to go. So I just wanted to mention that. We also have this pool table here that turns into ping pong as well as air hockey. We had some fun last night during the Mexico World Cup match and played some pool at halftime and hung out after the game. So there you have it, guys. Thanks to those who have stuck around to the end of the video. Let me know in the comments, would you retire here in San Cristóbal de las Casas based on the information provided in this video? If there's anything I left out, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Until next time, guys, Rope Monster out.